Welcome back. This is Natasha with Spirit Animals Art, and we are carrying on with our needle felting of the elephant shrew. And so something I realized from the last video is the template that we're using for the back toes. This is the right foot. The right foot is correct. It took me several videos to figure out which side the two toes go on and which side the one toe goes on. And so when you do your left foot, make sure you do the two toes on the outside on each side. My first armature, if you'll look here, I did the two toes on the outside just like that says, but then I did this one the same way, which ends up giving him two right feet instead of two left feet. He has two right feet. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your second foot to mirror that to the other side. And so I didn't do that, so I went back and fixed it. Okay, and then I also decided they have the three toes and then they have the one toe in the back. I wasn't going to put the toe there on the back, but in looking at videos and looking at pictures, it really is a funny little feature that is noticeable. So I thought, well, already done all of this wire. Why not do one more toe on each foot? Why not? We're already doing it. Might as well go for it. So I put another toe on just to test it out to see what it looked like. And so that's what we're going to do. You can take the clippings from your previous wires. If you've already thrown those away, just clip you off a little bit more wire. Do just like we did in the last video. And you're going to put this kind of at the back of where his heel would be, like his, I guess his palm. You're going to put it a little further up than that, and don't worry, you can manipulate it, make it long enough so that you can manipulate it around. When we go to wrap it, we'll put it in the right place. So you just want to get that on there. Just like we did in the last video. And this is much easier to do if you do it before, if you did it with the other toes, but this is a little afterthought, no biggie. It's a lot easier to do before you've gotten all the fiber on there, so this is fine to do it like this. It's a very forgiving craft. Okay, now that we've got all of our toes and we've all got them in the right spot, and you have the ends looking like you want them to, because that's going to be our nails, we're just going to get our glue or our Mod Podge, and I'm not using glossy, I'm just using the matte. Once you get it like you want, this is glossy. This is another one I have. It's for puzzles, but it's a matte. And then I got that just at the Dollar General, actually. Same thing. And you only want a small amount of water. You only want it to be barely, you don't want it super thick, but you don't want it super thin. So you just want it barely hydrated. You're just going to brush it on. What I do is I'll brush it on all of the tips, and then I'll go back, and some places it has pulled a little of the glue water concoction, and I just smooth that out, and then we let it dry. It doesn't take that long to dry. 30-45 minutes is all you really need to do. There are different types of glues that you can use, just like I said. I just got in a glue, and I'll show a picture here in a minute, called Aleene's Clear Glue. I've never used it before. It's clear. See, Aleene's Original Clear Gel Tacky Glue. A lot of people really swear by this, so I'm going to try this as we progress, maybe to put in the eyes. So I've gotten it all on there, and I'm just going back through any little drops, bubbles that have formed. I'm just smoothing that out. One coat is probably all that you're going to need. And then I just find a place to prop him up, let him dry. Here's the tacky glue I was talking about. Okay, now he is dry. And there's also Power Tex. That's more for if you were using wool. If I had wrapped the little toes or little claws in wool, and you want it to be really stiff. Okay, so I'm looking at different colors. I have different shades of a light brown here. So you can really pick any that you want. And looking at the pictures, there's all different shades of brown for the feet. And I'm just going to start with this Palomino. And it's a top coat, so it's a little silky. But it tends to work pretty good for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to remember that the ends are the claws. And study your pictures, look up videos, and you'll see that they have quite a bit of claw hanging out. So you're going to want to make sure you keep that out as you're wrapping these feet. And the nice thing about it is you can push it back. You can bend you can bend your claws however you need to. You just do a little bit of stabbing to get it where it needs to stay. And this is just the first round. We're going to go and put more details on the paws later. This is just getting everything secured right where it needs to be. This stage looks a little frightening, a little Freddy Krueger-ish, but it all turns out in the end. this little back claw here, it's a side kind of thumby looking claw, but it's also in the back, so kind of where that, you can see where it's going to set on the ground, and then that claw is going to be up off of the ground, so we can manipulate that more later as we put more detail, but I'm just bulking that up a little bit. And of course, since we've made tiny claws, I guess we're going to need to make tiny paw pads, so in the next video, and we may do that in the next video, or we may save that for the end, I don't know, but we're going to put a little bit of paw pad down there. Why not? Okay, there's one foot, the front foot, and then you'll do the next. You just keep going in that same way until all of the feet are looking nice and rodent-y. These little critters they're not quite rodents actually. From what I read, they're closer to an elephant than they are to a shrew. They're more akin to an anteater, really. So there's a picture of the feet. And it's really quite hard to find too many pictures of their feet because usually they're running through leaf litter and rocks and things. So videos, though, I found some really cool videos on YouTube of them at zoos and things, and people are filming them doing their thing and being curious and all that. You can really see their feet, see their movements. And that will help you to know how to do these little feet and toes and claws, because it's all kind of just an archaeology type scientific style, looking at diagrams and things. It's much better if you can see them in action and see how they use these things, so we can make a nice representation. Alright, just wrap them until they look like you want them to look. This is the first round. Okay, we're going to get a little fiber put on him. You can use the off-white chunky core. You could use a little bit of a tanner core. I'm just going to use the off-white chunky because that's what most people will probably have the most of. Super, super thin strips. We're just getting a little bit of the core on there because it is not as slick as this top coat. It's going to make a much better base and a solid place to add our top coat to these really skinny legs. It's a nice thin coat. Make sure you use a strong needle when you're working around wires, and make sure you're making nice bouncy jabs, or else you will break your needle. It takes a little practice. I got a little bit too much top coat fiber here, so I'm just compressing it and wrapping it down with this core, and that worked out fine. It's still nice and skinny. Now here I do have a fancier one if I ever find it again. I have a leather one, but these are just ones I made with cardboard and tape, and it's good for holding. Not so much at this stage, we don't need it as much, but if you were doing finishing, when we do finishing on these legs, because they're so skinny, because it's something to hold beside your fingers. A lot less dangerous that way, but still you might accidentally miss the cardboard and go for your finger, so you can actually also put on a thumb guard. Makes it a little harder to hold on to everything, but until you get used to what you're doing, unless you've done this a whole lot and you're very confident in where your fingers and everything are, this just helps keep everything safe. You don't want to injure yourself and bleed all over your project and not be able to continue. For a little bit anyway, till you get a band-aid. Felters are tough. A few needle wounds don't get us down. Doing the back legs the same way. Just getting a nice thin, skinny little strip on there. That's going to be our base for adding our colors. And we're going to go ahead in this segment. We're going to put a little bit of core on the body and down the head and down the tail, just to get everything covered in some wool to get it ready for the next step. wrapping it nice and tightly. This is going to be a skinny little nose, so we don't want to build up too much fiber. We just want to get some on there, on the nose and on the tail. And their tails are actually, they describe them as being kind of scaly. And so we probably are going to put a watered down glue on the tail to keep it flexible but make it kind of stiff. So we'll do that later on. Alright, he is well on his way to becoming an animal. Very nice. And I'm making 2 of these at the same time, so it's really going to be interesting to see how one turns out different than the other, because I don't believe I've ever made anything identical. I don't think it's even possible. I'm in awe when people can do that. Everything always has its own personality. Alright. We're ready for the next step. Until next time, you guys, thanks so much. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos. Thanks.